Hello everyone, my name is Saurabh and I'm part of the Simplilearn team. Welcome to this session on Ethereum. So now let's take a look what's in it for all of us today. We will be talking about what is Ethereum, the features of Ethereum like cryptocurrency, smart contracts, Ethereum virtual machine, decentralized application and its uses, and decentralized autonomous organization. We'll be also looking at applications of Ethereum and a demo on smart contract deployment on a locally running Ethereum client. Now, what is Ethereum? Ethereum is a blockchain-based computing platform that enables developers to build and deploy decentralized applications. So basically, Ethereum is a platform where we can build applications which are not run by a centralized authority. You can create a decentralized application where the participants of that particular application are the decision-making authority. So here we can see Ethereum allows us to build and deploy dApp applications. Now, what are the typical features of Ethereum? Ethereum allows you to use its own cryptocurrency called ETH. It allows development and deployment of smart contracts. It provides you the underlying technology, the architecture, the software which understands smart contracts and allow you to interact with it, which is called Ethereum virtual machine. Then it allows eventually to create consolidated applications called decentralized applications, and also it allows you to create decentralized autonomous organization. Now let's talk about Ethereum cryptocurrency. ETH is a cryptocurrency that runs on Ethereum network. Basically, it is the fuel which is running the Ethereum network. It is used to pay for the computational resources and the transaction fees for any transaction to be executed on a Ethereum network. Like Bitcoin, Ether is also a peer-to-peer currency. Apart from paying for transaction, Ether is also used to buy gas, which is used to pay for computation of any transaction you make on a Ethereum network. Also, if you have to deploy a contract on Ethereum network, you would need gas and you would have to pay for that gas in ethers. So gas is the execution fee paid by a user for running a transaction in Ethereum. Ether can be utilized for building decentralized applications, for building your smart contracts, and making standard peer-to-peer payments. Now, what is a smart contract? A smart contract is a simple computer program that facilitates the exchange of any valuable asset between two parties. It could be money, it could be shares, it could be property, or it could be any other digital asset which you want to exchange. These contracts can be created by anyone on the Ethereum network, and primarily the contract consists of the terms and conditions mutually agreed between the parties, between the peers. And the primary feature of a smart contract is that once it is executed, it cannot be altered. And any transaction done on top of a smart contract is registered permanently. It is immutable. So even in future you modify the smart contract, the transactions correlated with the original contract does not get altered, or you cannot modify them. So for the verification process, smart contract is carried out amongst the anonymous parties of the network without the need of a centralized authority. And that's what makes any smart contract execution on Ethereum a decentralized execution. It provides the transfer of any asset or currency in a transparent and a trustworthy manner. As the two entities are totally unaware, their identity is secure on the Ethereum network. Though the transactions once successfully done, the accounts of the sender and receiver are updated accordingly, and thereby it generates a trust between the parties who are transacting using the Ethereum network. Now, what happens in traditional system of contract? In traditional systems of contract, you sign an agreement, then you trust a third party, hire a third party for execution. Now, the problem is that in such an engagement, the data tampering is possible. Now, if we talk about the new smart contract, the agreement is coded in a program. Now, result is not verified by a centralized authority. It is verified by the participants on Ethereum based blockchain network. Now, once a contract is executed, the transaction is registered and it cannot be altered or tampered. So it removes the risk of any data manipulation or alteration. Now let's take another example where Jack has given a contract of $500 to Elsa for developing his company's website. Now the developers code the agreement of smart contract using Ethereum's programming language. Now the smart contract has all the conditions, the requirements for building the website. Once the code is written, it is uploaded and deployed on the Ethereum EVM virtual machine. EVM is a runtime compiler to execute your smart contract. Once the code is deployed on the EVM, every participant on the network has a copy of the contract now. Now when Elsa submits the work on Ethereum for evaluation, each node on the Ethereum network will evaluate and confirm whether the result given by Elsa is done as per the coding requirements. And once approved and verified, the contract worth $500 will be self-executed and the payment will be paid to Elsa in Ethers. So John's account, the person who had gone into a contract, his account will be automatically debited and Elsa will be credited with $500 in Ether denomination. Here we will now take a look. We will do a demo, small demo on a deployment of a smart contract. So in order to execute our smart contract, we will need two set of softwares, Ganache and Truffle, and we will show you in the demo how to install these two softwares on your machine. Now we will be giving a demo on the following smart contract. This is a smart contract where we are writing a simple contract of a greeter. We have a variable called greeting which we will be initializing using a constructor, and then in our demo we will be showing how you can change the value of the variable greeting using the set greeting method and read the value using the greet method. This is the other contract where we will be defining that whoever is deploying the contract on the blockchain network is always the owner of the contract, and then we have defined certain mandatory functions in order to kill the contract on the Ethereum network. So only the owner of the contract can kill it. Now let's talk about what is an Ethereum virtual machine. Ethereum virtual machine is designed to operate as a runtime environment for compiling and deploying Ethereum based smart contracts. Basically, EVM is the engine which understands the language of smart contracts which are written in Solidity language for Ethereum. EVM is operated in a sandbox environment. Basically, you can deploy your own standalone environment which can act as a testing and a development environment, and you can n number of times test your smart contract, deploy it, verify it, and then once you are satisfied with the performance and the functionality of the smart contract, you can deploy it on the Ethereum mainnet. Now, any programming language in the smart contract is compiled into the bytecode which the EVM understands. This bytecode can be read and executed using an Ethereum feature called Ethereum Virtual Machine. So basically, EVM machine understands the bytecode. So one of the most popular languages for writing a smart contract is Solidity. So once you write your smart contract on Solidity, that contract gets converted into the bytecode and gets deployed on the EVM. And thereby, EVM guarantees security from cyber attack. Now, how does EVM work? So suppose A wants to pay B 10 ethers. The transaction will be sent to the EVM using a smart contract for a funds transfer from A to B. Now, in order to validate the transaction, the Ethereum network will perform the proof of work consensus algorithm. The miner nodes on the Ethereum will validate this transaction, whether the identity of A exists or not. A has the relevant amount of balance to transfer 10 ether to B, and will validate the transaction. Once validated, the ether will be debited from A's wallet and will be credited to B's wallet. And during this course, the miners will charge a fees in order to validate this transaction and will earn a reward. Now, all the nodes on Ethereum network execute smart contract using their respective EVMs. Now, how does proof of work works? Every node in the Ethereum network has the entire history of all the transactions, the entire chain. It has the history of smart contract, basically the address at which the smart contract is deployed, the transactions associated with the smart contract, and also it has the handle to the current state of the smart contract. Now, the goal of the miners on the Ethereum blockchain network is to validate the block. For each block of transaction, miners use the computational power and resources to get the appropriate hash value by varying the nonce. Now the miners will vary the nonce and pass it through a hashing algorithm. In case of Ethereum, it is the ethash algorithm. This produces a hash value which should be lesser than the predefined target as per the proof of work consensus. If the hash value generated is less than the target value, then only the block is considered to be verified and the miner gets rewarded only then. Now when the proof of work is solved, result is broadcasted and shared with all the other nodes in order to update their ledger. If other nodes accept the hash block as valid, then the block gets added to the Ethereum mainnet blockchain. And as a result, the miner receives a reward which as of today stands at 3 ether, plus the miner receives the transaction fees which has been generated for verifying the block. All the transactions which are aggregated in the block, the cumulative transaction fees associated with all the transactions is also rewarded to the miner. Now do you know, in Ethereum, a process called proof of stake is also under development, and it is an alternative to proof of work. It is meant to be a solution to minimize the use of expensive resources spent for mining using proof of work. Now in proof of stake, the miner is actually the validator, can validate the transactions based on the amount of crypto coins he or she holds before he or she can start the mining. So based on the accumulation or the repository of crypto coins with the miner beforehand will give him the higher probability of mining the block. Now however, proof of stake is not widely adopted as of now as compared to proof of work algorithm. Now let's understand the concept of gas. Now Ethereum virtual machine has a concept of gas, and why do we need it? So like we need fuel to run car, in the same way in order to run application on Ethereum network, we need gas. Now what is gas? To perform any transaction on Ethereum network, a user has to make a payment, has to shell out ethers in order to get the execution done, the transaction done, and the intermediary monetary value is called as gas. On Ethereum network, gas is a unit that measures the computational power required to run a smart contract or a transaction. So if you have to do a transaction which is updating the blockchain, you would have to shell out gas, and that gas will come with a price in ethers. Now how is the gas fees calculated? In Ethereum, the transaction fees is calculated in Ethereum using the below formula. For every transaction, there is a gas and the correlated gas price. So the amount of gas required to execute a transaction multiplied by the gas price, you generate the transaction fees. So gas limit on Ethereum network refers to the amount of gas which is used for the computation and the amount of ether a user is required to pay for the gas. Now here we have a screenshot from the Ethereum mainnet where the cost of transaction is being shown. So if you see, for this particular example transaction, the gas limit was 21,000, the gas used by the transaction was 21,000, and the gas price was 21 GUI, which is the lowest denomination. So 21 GUI into 21,000 gave you the actual transaction fees, which is 0.000441 ether, which is approximately 0.21 cents as of today's ether market value. Now this transaction fee goes to the miner who has validated the transaction. To understand the gas limit and the gas price in a better way, let's consider an example of a car. Suppose your car has a mileage of 10 kilometers and the price of petrol is $1 per liter. Then driving a car for 50 kilometers will cost you 5 liters of petrol, which will be worth $5. Similarly, to perform an operation or to run a code on Ethereum, you need to spend certain amount of gas like the petrol, where each gas has a per unit price called gas price. Now if a user provides less amount of gas to run a particular operation, then the process will fail and the user will be given a message of out of gas. And GUI is the lowest denomination of ether which is used for measuring unit of a gas price. Now how is Ethereum's mining different from Bitcoin mining? The hashing algorithm is the primary difference. The Bitcoin uses SHA-256, Ethereum uses ethash. The average time taken on Bitcoin Bitcoin for mining a block is 10 minutes, whereas in Ethereum it is 12 to 15 seconds. As of today, the mining reward for Bitcoin is 12.5 BTC, but for Ethereum it is 3 Ethers plus the transaction fee, the accumulated transaction fee for all the transactions for a block. Now, as of 23rd July, the Bitcoin value was $7,667, whereas 1 Ether stands at $466. Now here we have a screenshot of an Ethereum reward which has been given to the miner of the block. Now as you can see, here is the breakup of the reward: 3 Ethers plus the total accumulated transaction fee of all the underlying transactions in this block, which is 0.0666 Ethers. Now, what is a decentralized application? Now let's compare it with our traditional applications, our traditional websites which are currently running. So for example, when you log into Twitter, a web application gets displayed which is rendered using an HTML page. Now the page will call an API to access your personal data, your information, which is centrally hosted. Now it's a simple process. The front end executes a backend API and the API goes and fetches the information from a centralized DB. Now if we transform this application into a decentralized application, then now when you will log in, the same web application will get rendered, but it will be calling a smart contract based API to fetch the information from the blockchain network. So the API gets replaced with the smart contract interface, and the smart contract will fetch the information from the blockchain network, which is its backend. And that blockchain network is not a centralized DB, it's a decentralized network where the participants of the network, the miners of the network, are validating, verifying all the transactions which are happening using the smart contract on the blockchain network. So thereby any transaction or any action happening on a Twitter kind of application which has been transformed will now cannot be claimed as a centralized transaction. It will be a decentralized transaction. A dApp, a decentralized application, consists of backend code that runs on a distributed peer-to-peer network. It is a software designed to work on an Ethereum network without being controlled by a centralized system, and that is the primary difference. It provides the direct interaction between the end users and the decentralized application providers. Now an application qualifies as dApp when it is open sourced, its code is there on GitHub, and it uses a public blockchain based token in order to run the application. A token acts as a fuel for the decentralized application to run. dApp allows the backend code and data to be decentralized, and that is the primary architecture of any dApp. Now let's discuss what are decentralized autonomous organizations. DAOs is a digital organization that wants to operate without any need of a hierarchical management. It wants to operate in a decentralized and a democratized fashion. So basically a DAO is an organization where the decision making should not be in the hands of a centralized authority, but it should be in the hands of certain designated authorities or a group of designated people as a part of authority. It exists on a blockchain network where it is governed by the protocols embedded in a smart contract, and thereby they rely on a smart contract for decision making. All the business decisions are driven by the smart contracts, or we can say a decentralized voting system within the organization. So any organizational decision before being taken has to go through the voting system which is running on a decentralized application. So how it works? People add funds to the DAO because DAO requires funding in order to execute and take decisions. Based on that, each member is given a token on a percentage basis which represents the percentage of shares of that particular member in the DAO. Now those tokens are used to vote in the DAO where the proposal status is decided based on the maximum votes. So every decision within the organization has to go through this voting process. Now let's take a look what are the applications of Ethereum in real world and where it is getting used. So as we have seen with DAO, voting systems are adopting it. The results of the polls are publicly available where it ensures a transparent and fair democracy by eliminating voting malpractices. It is getting adopted widely in a banking scenarios and banking systems. With Ethereum's decentralized system, it is becoming very difficult for hackers to have unauthorized access, and it also allows payments payments on a Ethereum based network. So banks are also using Ethereum as a channel to make remittances and payments. Shipping. Deploying Ethereum in shipping helps tracking of cargo and prevents goods from being misplaced or counterfeited. So basically Ethereum is providing you the provenance and tracking framework for any kind of asset required in a typical supply chain. Now with Ethereum's smart contract, agreements can be maintained and executed without any alteration. So any industry which has fragmented participants is subject to disputes and which requires and digital contracts to be present, then Ethereum can definitely be used as a technology for developing your smart contract and digitally recording the agreements and the transactions based on those agreements.
So let's get started for a demo on how to deploy an Ethereum smart contract locally. So in order to deploy a smart contract, we will be first installing Ganache client, which allows you to host a local Ethereum client on which you can deploy your smart contract. So as we are working on the Windows environment, when we are downloading the Ganache setup, we can also download Node in order to install Truffle on our machines. Now as the node has been downloaded, we will install Node. So now Node is successfully installed. Now we are going to install Ganache locally. Now we will run Ganache a little later. Before that, we will perform certain steps, or we can run Ganache and see. So once Ganache is up and running, I'll show you the interface, how it looks. So when Ganache is brought up, it automatically creates 10 accounts with pre-funded balance of 100 ethers. It is running on localhost port number 7545. Now as you see, there is no transaction or anything which has currently happened. So the current block is 0, which is the Genesis block. There are no transactions and there are no blocks as of now. So there are no transactions and blocks which have been generated. So using this Ganache client, now we will be deploying our Greeter contract. Now as we have installed Node, we will be installing Truffle. Truffle is the utility which allows us to compile and deploy Ethereum contracts. Okay, now once Truffle is installed, we need to create a directory called Greeter. Now we need to run the command truffle. Now once we run this command, Truffle by default creates a package structure which has 3 folders called contracts, migrations, test, truffle.js and truffle config. Now we will be writing our smart contract called greeter.sol and we will compile and deploy. Basically our greeter.sol will be under contracts folder and we can our contract is created and it is lying under contracts folder. Now we need to add another file under migrations folder called as deploy contract.js. So we will name it as deploy contract. Now in this deploy contract, we need to put line of code. Now in this file, we are asking Truffle to deploy our newly created greeter.sol file. Now in the greeter contract, we have a constructor. We are initializing the greeter contract with a value hi hello and we are passing a gas value. So this gas is currently at a higher limit and we know that this gas value, the contract will get executed. But otherwise, you can also evaluate the gas value of a contract using Remix. Now once this file is being saved, you go to the truffle.js and make the following entry. Now here we are telling Truffle that our localhost Ganesh client is running on localhost at port number 7545 and network ID can be anything, though the current Ganesh client is running on port network ID 5777, but we have kept it open that we can connect to any network ID. Now after this step, I need to go back to my command prompt and say Truffle compile. Now, if you get this error, if we are getting this kind of error in Windows, then you need to do one quick fix. We need to go to the users directory and rename truffle.cmd to truff. So I'll go to my C drive users update roaming him just now here. Now instead of truffle I have to say truff. Now there might be certain compilation warnings, we can ignore that. Now my contract is being compiled. Now I need to run the next command, truff migrate. At this stage my smart contract is deployed and now you can see this is the place where the contract has been called, and this is the transaction where the default value of my variable greeter has been set to hi hello. So we will see. Now I need to run command truff console to interact with my contract. Now as on my truff console, I can check at what address is my contract deployed. So my contract is deployed at address 0x37, which matches with the address 0x373. Now I need to check the default value which I had set while deploying my contract. So this is my value, hi hello. Now I can change the value to something else because in my greeter contract I have a method called setGreeting. Now when I'll be performing this action, a new block will get generated and the block count will increase from 4 to 5 because I'm making a change on the blockchain. As you can see now, a new transaction has been created. This was the gas used. This is the default gas price in Ganesh and block number 5 is being mined. Now I can reread the value of the variable. Now it will return me the latest value, which is change greet value. So this demonstrates how to use a Solidity contract, how to compile it, deploy it on a locally running blockchain network. You can connect multiple nodes to this Ganesh client and all the nodes should be running on the same network ID, should have the same network ID, but they can be running on a different machine. So here we can see all the other details, the block, the transactions which have happened. If I perform the action again, block number 6 has been generated, has another transaction associated with it, and I can get the latest value.
So what are the key takeaways for today? We understood about Ethereum, the features of Ethereum, different applications of Ethereum, and what is a smart contract. I hope you had a great learning session and I'll meet you in the next session. Thank you.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.